What's up, guys? Mike Davis here at the Den Fox 5 Studios, Sound Off Sports. Great to have you guys with us. I am joined in the studio right now by one of the coolest. I mean, you guys think I'm cool, and then you're going to see this guy, and you're going to be like, Mike, what are you talking about? You're not a cool guy at all. One of the coolest dudes in our town, one of the most talented guys. You can't put him in a box. People try.
Thank you. And I keep kicking the walls down.
I love it. It's DJ Ashba. You know this guy, Ashba. He's been with, solo work, Guns N' Roses, stuff with Nikki Sixx.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 a.m., all this great stuff. Now at the Fontainebleau,
Yes.
Pitbull. I mean, Dolly. This guy is going to be a special guest playing, opening with Pitbull, Vegas After Dark Residency, Fontainebleau. You guys want to make sure you see this March 7th, 8th, 12th, 14th, and 15th. DJ Ashba. It's great to finally have a long-form conversation with you. How you doing?
I'm amazing. Busy, but, I'd have it no other way.
You do a little bit of everything. I mean, you would think just to get to the apex of an industry where you can be playing guitar in the role where Slash has played in that role. Yes. You're at the highest of the highs, yet you still got so many other things you're working on. You got a golf club behind you.
I do. This is Golf Pubs, and it is the first golf club that, I created this, invented it. And it basically brings sports and spirits together. So the cap comes off.
Oh, my Lord.
I don't want to get your
So somebody's getting fired, but it's okay.
But it's really cool. It's a reverse thread. So basically, this comes off. It's a custom design, easy to travel with. And we have freezer bags that keep all your drinks, beverages.
Because that's the type of golf I'm not playing Tiger Woods golf. I'm playing like go get screwed up on the golf course and have some fun kind of golf. So that's
first club in history to get like FDA approved, like all the approvals.
Really?
Yeah, because human consumption and
well, you know what's so fascinating, because I'm seeing you work that whole contraption, and you even did a video once with the Grammys and the Academy show, because you've built a guitar and kind of custom designed even to your liking where you want all the inner workings and the design elements to come together. So here's what's so crazy. I mean, how can you be good at so many different, how can you be like an engineer, all these different things? Because even guys, listen to this. Your company is not, you're not only just opening for Pitbull and a special guest, your company developed the stage that Pitbull is going to perform on at Fontainebleau.
Yeah, we built everything on the stage, in the ceiling, the lighting, everything.
And this is Ashba Studio. What is
Ashba Studio has been around 22 years, and we have done stuff for like replica rockets for NASA, for space museums, to Nike for the Super Bowl, to the Shoei, big famous Shoei bar for F1 for Red Bull at the Bellagio. You can see it every year.
That is so. Wait, just break this down, because if I were you, I would not be worried about other work. I'd just be worried about girls and music. why as a rock star did you want to do other things beyond just party and the girls and the music?
It's always been art and music my whole life. From when I was little, I'd be drawing on my mom's walls with crayons, to that developed into having my own cartoon and a newspaper, to eventually, building this crazy empire that it's turned into.
It's you're like an entrepreneur. So growing up, you're a Midwest guy. Your mom was a classically trained pianist. Yeah. You had your first recital at 5, and then you really start doing a lot of the custom, even how you built a guitar, you built this club, you built trash cans and pots and pans were your first drums.
Yes.
So a lot of those things all make a lot of sense. And then your 16th birthday, your dad takes you to go see Motley Crue, which is ridiculous, because ladies and gentlemen, for you to be so moved and for that to be the inciting incident that leads you to play music, to then end up playing in a band with Nikki Sixx
and producing and writing songs for Motley Crue.
Isn't that like do you ever think about how it could have been any other group of all time? How do you even make sense of that?
It was weird, because up until I grew up without a TV. So all we had in school was like magazines. So you'd look up to these guys like, holy crap. Like it was like a false sense of reality. Like they were just fairy tale.
You didn't have a TV?
No, very religious family. I wasn't allowed a TV. So it made me creative. I had otherwise I would have went insane. So I was constantly creating things to keep me busy. because otherwise
your stimulation, like nowadays kids have too much stimulation. You had no stimulation.
I had none. Cornfields everywhere.
Well, now that makes sense, because eventually, I didn't even know what this term was, detasseling corn. We don't do that in New Jersey or Philly, where I'm from. You took your first job detasseling corn to buy your first guitar out of a Sears catalog.
Yeah, I detasseled corn all summer long to buy my first guitar out of a Sears catalog for $182, and which I thought was awesome until I grew up, and then I was like, wait a second, I detasseled all summer for $182.
But dude, you know what? Like, that's why reading your story, and I think, like, I don't know. I mean, listen, people put you in a box. They think the tattoos, the look, the whole thing, like, they just assume whatever they assume about you. But you're such a fascinating guy, because to have that level of intensity and passion for a career, and to want to spend a summer detasseling corn just so you can get your hands on a guitar, do you think that's such a prerequisite for becoming like expert level? Because there's parents out there today, it's like they want their kids so badly to be DJ Ashba. You know, it's like they're buying every guitar they can to give to their child, so they have all the resources. But maybe it's not really about the resources, it's about the drive.
It's the determination. I've always had this incredible, you know, it's weird when I meet people nowadays and they're like, I still don't know what I want to do for a living. When I was born, ever since I can remember, I knew what I was going to do. I didn't know I was going to play in Guns N' Roses or to the level it went, but I've never not known what I was going to do for a living.
At
I knew
16,
it would be
you knew
playing.
that.
I knew at 4. I like when I was on a piano, I was 3 years old. So I've always known that it was going to have something to do with art and music, because those were my passions.
And what do you mean you know that? Because, like, I had a similar thing in 4th grade. I knew I was going to be a talk show host. I wanted to be like Allen Iverson and like Eric Clapton or like Santana or something. And then I was like, no, I want to be like Howard Stern or like David Letterman. Yeah. And then I felt that. But what is that feeling? Because it's like because I didn't have anybody, hey, here's a talk show. I didn't know anybody who had a talk show. Yeah. So it's like, how do you know you want to do something, yet you have no clue with the roadmap how it's going to happen?
Because the thought of being a fireman or a policeman, no other thought. I was like, I told my girlfriend when I was in 6th grade, I'm going to move to LA and become a rock star one day. I knew it from the time I could, think back to remember, but it's like, I just didn't know to what level, but my passion was so deep for music and art.
That's so, see, me in 6th grade, and I like the fact that you had the girlfriend, because it wasn't to get girls. You already had the girl.
No, I didn't even know you could make money at music for 20 years or get girls.
It wasn't like, because a lot of people like me, I would want to be a rock star for the girls, for all the other but you're just saying
weirdly,
no.
I never got into it for any of that. I got into music way before I knew what girls were or money was, and it was just always a passion that drove me. It was never about the money and the women. And in fact, I've always been known for being in very long relationships, but currently single, but yeah.
It's crazy. So paint this picture. So you have this drive, you have this affinity. Clearly, you have a little bit probably of musical DNA in your blood from your mom.
Yes.
I
think so, yeah.
So you have that, and you have the drive, and then you pack up and go to LA and Hollywood at 18. So, but you don't have a game, so what's the game plan? Like, how are you going to make this happen now?
Well, all I knew is I knew this band from Chicago that lived there.
Okay.
And they said I could stay with them. Immediately, they put me in their little cover band, and we played everywhere, up and down the West Coast, every little bar you could think of. And so that was kind of my start. And I just
And what are you playing? What are you playing?
Just every cover song, Van Halen to Motley Crue to, just the typical stuff you hear any rock band play at any bar.
So you're doing all that stuff. I saw some interviews where you said, seeing Alex Van Halen for the first time,
Eddie
Van Halen and Alex, and just seeing Eddie on the guitar and all that stuff. It informs so much. So how do you get to the point where then you're eventually making a name for yourself, and now you're working alongside Motley Crue, and now you're with Nikki Sixx and writing, producing, all that stuff?
Yeah. Eddie inspired me to pick up a guitar when I was 9 and changed my whole life, and that was kind of when I left Guns N' Roses. I had an idea to create something, because when you're in a band that level, I'm smart enough to go, okay, financially, I'm in a really good position to go back to the roots, and that was
no, that's okay. You could say we'll bleep it out.
Okay, thank you. But go back to being a true artist. You know, not worry about writing the next hit song, and just so that's that. It was basically, I'll never be in a band or start another band bigger in this lifetime than where I've been. So I have a real opportunity to either fade away or do something so out of the box to inspire a new generation to pick up instruments. So I created GDM, which is guitar dance music. And, you know, I love EDM music. I love the whole scene. But the one thing that was lacking 6 years ago when I set out to do this, and mind you, I left the biggest band in the world for this. So I left an amazing, you know, a lifestyle and a huge paycheck to basically sit in a studio for 5 years and create something that I thought would change the world of EDM.
Wow.
And the whole motivation I had was to give that gift that Eddie Van Halen gave me when I was a kid to another kid out there, you know, inspire, if I can inspire one of these kids out in that EDM audience to pick up an instrument, the journey will be worth it.
I think it's a big need, because as a guy, I'm an old soul. I really do not mesh well with EDM. It's got to be super musical stuff for me to really be touched by it. It's got to be Daft Punk or like Disclosure, because there's a lot of EDM that just doesn't have that. You can't even see the threads of who you're influenced by. You know, that's what, like, I mean, it's so evident when you start seeing, even in metal and hard rock, you can see where it comes from, you know, and who, you know, rock and roll, it's like the Stones are influenced by like the blues, you know, and so there's all these different, Chuck Berry and all these guys. So you're kind of charting a new territory with this whole thing, because this is really where, if you look at Spotify, if you look at Apple Music, that's where the streams are going, is to EDM.
Yeah.
So what is this space gonna, like, what does it look like the next 5, 10, 15 years?
In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think, you know, the EDM world, I mean, it's huge. It's amazing. There's so many talented DJs out there, but I do feel like there's room, number one. And I think it's a bit at a standstill. Everybody's waiting, what's the next big thing? And I think there's, you know, right now, live performance mixed with DJing is kind of the forefront. So I couldn't be better timing.
Right.
And it's kind of the new movement where live performance, whether it's like Timmy Trumpet's out there with the trumpet and DJing. I'm doing the same thing. I'm DJing, playing guitar. You know, it's it's a movement.
There's some guys who are at, you know, the beginning, like Tom Misch kind of reminds me of that. He does a lot of that stuff. Jungle's very like, you know, EDM friendly, but with the musical qualities. So question for you, because like me, I got zero musical ability, but I'm an aficionado, I think. I judge DJs who don't really have the musical component to their stuff. Do you ever go to a club or go, you know, we're here in Vegas, so there's tons of people that got these big cushy gigs DJing, and it's like, do they even know anything about music, or are they just pushing buttons? Can you explain to, like, look in that camera and tell our audience, like, where do we find the music? Separate the fakers and the real people.
Right. Well, first of all, you have I call them the true musician DJs. Those are the guys that are the producers and really creating the songs that they're playing live.
Right.
And then you got regular DJs, I call, you know, whatever you want to call them, the wedding DJs, who take their songs and kind of mix them together and song to song, and you know, that's a cushy gig.
But there's people who are wedding DJs that have like residency.
Oh yeah.
It's is that shocking to you that we're in, like, because as somebody who's so capable, like it's fascinating that you.
But here's the thing, you know, because I'm from the rock world and everybody's like, oh, DJs just push a button, and I've never, because I'm truly DJing. I'm a true producer, songwriter, and I'm doing everything from scratch, you know. So I've never worked this hard in my life to create and put together a show ever. Like it is intense. A lot. So basically, you know, like some of these DJs that are true producers, you know, they're getting paid a ton of money, but you're not paying them for that night, right? To go and push buttons and show. They're showcasing months, if not years worth of work sitting in a studio creating that thumb drive.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what you're paying for. And I have nothing but mad respect for people that spend years and years and years creating their own catalog of music, because they are truly producing, mixing, doing the whole thing. And I have respect for any musician that's out there doing it, whether they have the ability or they're a producer, whatever. At least they're out there. Anybody that has music in their heart and they're out there doing it, God bless them. You know?
But you get the same satisfaction. Like, you're so capable with your hands, your fingers, being able to do you get the same feedback and like does it feel the same to you?
It does, because the DJ deck, my guitar is just an extension of the DJ deck.
Okay.
And I'm a true producer. So, it's like I learned to DJ. I had one of my buddies, Rodney, came over and showed me one lesson, just went through the buttons. I'm like, okay, got it. He came back a week later, and I'm like just mixing, beat matching, doing it. But he's like, holy it's like you've been DJing for 20 years.
Really?
I go, well, I've been behind a mixing board my whole life with 64 channels.
Yeah.
So controlling 4 to 6 channels is not that,
Yeah.
And I think that's where being a musician, we have kind of a leg up on a non-musician DJ.
Yeah.
Because, I just look at the key of the song and I'm like, okay, I'm going to solo there. And I know that key will blend with this key. And they have their, little pie chart like A1. And I don't even understand that. I just look at the key of the song. I'm like, okay, I'm going to solo in that key and free flow it.
Right. Can you read music? Like, you're a
No, I can't. I can't. It's weird. I can't. I used to be able to when I was young. I can't read music. I don't know theory. I've always played just by heart, like whatever feels and sounds good.
So like when you were listening, like Eruption or something, you would just hear, Dance the Night Away. So your dad takes you or to Motley Crue, you're listening to, Eddie Van Halen, and then you could just by ear play.
I learned by ear. So, I learned by rewinding CDs and, taking the record back and listening and really honing in your ear as a kid. And I write 60-piece orchestra parts for movies. I scored an Eli Roth movie. I produced Neil Diamond and wrote an orchestral piece for his Christmas record.
Really?
And he had a real orchestra come in and replay it. And it was awesome. A guy came in that wrote all the charts out,
Man, that's so cool. So it actually makes a lot of sense now, this marriage between you and Pitbull at Fontainebleau, because to be honest, he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
In that, before EDM even got to where it is, but he was ahead of his time. But the cool thing is he always had a musical, it was heavily produced stuff, that had a musical quality.
And he blends genres. And I love that about him. Like he doesn't see, much like myself, I hate the walls around genres. I don't like that, it doesn't fit into this box.
Right.
And a great song's a great song if it moves you. I've been moved by country songs to Christmas songs to, if it's a great song, it's a great song.
What makes a great song? What are the components?
I think it's just something that you feel. It's hard to explain it, but you feel it. It creates an emotion.
So can you sit, like, that's what I'm so curious. Like, can you sit down? Because you're such a sciencey, like, engineer type of guy. So I'm trying to figure out how your brain works. Because, look at that. Look what the contraption you made with this club. So you're putting pieces together. So you can't really just sit down and say, I'm going to write a hit song tonight. Like,
no.
you
really can't.
You can't just put together the pieces and say.
There's somewhat formulas, but no. It's writing a hit song. You might write 1,000 songs before that one magic, but when that magic song pops through you, and it channels from somewhere else, but before it even becomes a hit.
why does Zeppelin or Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, why do these groups have multiple hits, major catalogs, and then King Harvest has Dancing in the Moonlight, or why are there one hit wonders?
Well, a lot of one hit wonders. it could have been where they had somebody else write their song for them. There's a lot of those scenarios where there's a lot of ghostwriters in the world, and they get a big hit song, and and the artist forgets he's not the one that wrote it and gets cocky, and they don't want to work with him again.
So
but who knows? Hit songs are not easy. If they were, everybody'd do it.
Right. It's so fascinating. So tell us a little bit about what this is going to look like. We got, Fontainebleau, a gorgeous venue, great theater, Pitbull, Vegas After Dark residency, special guests, Ashba, 7th, 8th, 12th, 14th, and 15th of March. So what is this going to look like? Paint us a picture.
Yeah,
I want to know.
It's just going to be a crazy night, really high energy. The video content I'm bringing is a show in itself. It's incredible. I did all the editing to the video on my show, but I control everything on the stage as far as my show goes. Like the video, the audio, the guitar, everything goes through the DJ decks. And
so that's on your shoulders?
Yes.
So wait,
you got the entire thing is on my shoulders. Yeah.
So how many people have ever even been in this circumstance where you're almost like a crew and performer?
I don't think anybody would put themselves in this position. Probably.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but you can't blame anybody else. You can't blame like the bass player if you have a bad show. It's all on you.
So wait, I'm still trying to figure this out. So explain this to me. So you're gonna be during the show. What are you gonna be doing? You're gonna be
DJing and playing guitar at the same time.
And manipulating a lot of what we're seeing as from an experiential standpoint. You're saying beyond the music and DJing, like the lights and...
Yeah. I don't control the lighting, but I control the video screens.
Oh, my Lord. So
at any time I want to shut them off, I can.
So this is so crazy. And why I think it's so fascinating, your level of expertise in so many fields. And don't take this the wrong way. So did they come to you first as did Pitbull's people say, hey, we want you to work with us because you're Ashba, or because we actually want your expertise with Ashba Studios? So how did it all come together?
Yeah, they originally came to my company, and then Pitbull found out I owned the company and invited me down to the show, and that's where we met. So,
and then walk us through that conversation.
It was just awesome. He's the most humble dude I've ever met in my life. He's that rock star, pop star that you hope to meet. You meet a couple in your life that are like, oh man, what a bummer. I wish I wouldn't have met him. But he's everything and then some. He's the most genuine, sweet, talented. Yeah. He's just I was really impressed by him.
He's got an amazing energy, and every time, and he really remembers where he comes from. The 305. I think he named FIU's stadium, the football stadium. It's Pitbull. He donated money to his alma mater. So he's a really fascinating guy. For all those years, speaking of people who let you down or something, I don't know. I'm curious how this would work, but you go to see Motley Crue when you're 16. You become friendly with Nikki Sixx. When you start meeting your heroes on this journey, what is that even? I mean, as a little kid, you must have grew up. You got to play with Axl Rose. You got to play with, Duff McKagan. So when these people are on posters or magazines in your room, and then you finally are with them.
It's surreal when you stop me and make me look back and think about it. But when it was happening, it just felt like, this is normal.
You always felt like you deserved to be there. You didn't.
It's part of my journey. It felt right. It didn't feel like, oh my God, I'm in a room with Axl. It's just we were, we became great friends.
Because some people have imposter syndrome. That's a big thing amongst musicians, right? You never got that.
I've never been starstruck with anybody.
No, there's not one dude.
Maybe Elvis if I met him.
Wow. What was it like in Guns N' Roses? Tell us, there's literally just a handful of people who know what that juice feels like to be on stage playing those songs. Motley Crue is cool, but it's not the same level of songs as, Guns N' Roses, grandmas know every word to these songs.
Yeah.
What is it like?
Both great bands, but it's a trip, I had no idea, the magnitude.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses is big, but getting out there and playing stadiums for 7 years, it's it was.
What does it feel like?
It's just
tell
on
us.
a different level,
What does that feel like?
Private jets and the best hotels and the security.
But not even that stuff. Just the music, to be on stage playing that.
You've never felt
It's better than
energy in your body like that. To see playing for Rock in Rio, opening, headlining Rock in Rio, 250,000 people, and it's just, people as far as you can see. It was just surreal.
It's so crazy because getting to talk to you now, like I was almost like, to me, I think so many people would be like, man, I'm now the lead guitarist for Guns N' Roses. How am I stacking up to Slash? You know, but you're so even your posture, you're so like put together and self-confident. You probably never even questioned yourself.
I never thought about it. All I was doing was coming in to try to do whatever I could to do the, job justice. I stayed as true to what Slash had originally written. And just out of respect for Slash, and the fans, that's what they want to hear, So, if Slash wasn't in the band, then I'm gonna try to mock it as close to, so the fans feel like they got their money's worth.
At what point, how much practice did it take after you're, detasseling corn and you go to the, I can't believe you're even old enough to know what a Sears catalog is.
Oh God, yeah.
But I mean, like, whoa, but you look super young. So to go through all that practice, I mean, at what point did you actually become like, how many years of practice does it take?
It didn't take long. It took probably 21 years.
That's
before I started making money.
but I'm saying, like, where you're at, like when you show up and you're 18 in Hollywood, were your skills at par so you could play in any group, or you had to really playing those covers and grinding? You learned stuff.
I'm still learning stuff today, and I always said, the minute you think you can't learn anything else, you stop progressing. So I have the mindset that I want to learn something new every day. Whether it's on a guitar, business, or, I love learning new stuff.
It's so cool. You got so many things in the works. So, all right. So Ashba Studio. So you're doing a bunch of different stuff. Ashba All Access. This is going to be, I mean, who doesn't want to just see the inner workings of your life? So learning about this show, when did you first move to Vegas? Because you're so
15 years ago.
So why Vegas?
It's always been my happy place. This is the dumbest thing, but I was on tour with Guns N' Roses, and I was ready to buy my first house, and I looked around LA a bit, and I was like, God, I'm gonna live in a shit box for fucking, So I was like, let's go to Vegas. Great tax cut,
right, yeah,
and all that, and I always loved Vegas, and so I bought my house, went on tour, came back 8 months later, and my pool, fountain, everything was froze over. I had no idea it got cold here.
Oh.
Every time I visited, it was like the perfect weather.
Right.
And it was just by coincidence. I'd never come when it was cold for whatever reason over the many years, and had no idea. Did zero homework, and but I absolutely fell in love with the town. And
you're just a true, because I've been here 6 years, and you're just one of the staples of our community, and such a, a player in Las Vegas, and, it's a special thing. So Ashba Studios, now you got this whole All Access. It's going to be like a mini series of a docu-series of all the things happening. So what are, we're going to get to see the inner workings of,
my brain. Pretty much, yeah.
Really? What is it like living in your brain?
You don't get much sleep.
Do you
even? I'm constantly creating. I can't shut it off. I sleep probably 4 hours a night, and I love it though. I've surrounded myself with incredibly talented people, and that's how I get so much stuff done. I can't take all the credit. All the weird ideas usually come from me, but I over the years, I've put together a team that can build and help me create the really wacky things that go through my head.
Well, it's so cool that you can even, because I think it's one thing, it's like in sports, right? It's like there's guys who are Michael Jordan, who are so incredibly talented on the court, but when they get into a management position, they actually really can't translate what they communicate to other people, how we should be scouting players, how we should be running an organization. So for you to be able to actually translate and run a successful business where you can actually evoke to other people, okay, listen, this is what's happening in my brain. I got to be able to communicate this to somebody who might not have my brain, but we can execute it. That's a pretty special thing, you know? That's interesting.
There's people that can put trash in a can. There's people that put trash on the lid of the can. So I try to surround myself with people that can actually put trash in the can.
That's so interesting.
To where you don't have to hold their hand through the whole thing. They kind of get your brain a bit, you know.
Are you like, is it one of the, I'm just getting the sense from you, are you so, things come to you so easily? Like you said, the DJ board, you got in like a day, and the guy's like, what have you been doing this for years? Is it just like your brain, you pick things up so quickly, you just have to be on to the next thing because it's just the satisfaction, it just, you can master things so quickly.
Yeah.
So like, what's next? Like, what's the next thing are you gonna take my job and start a podcast show?
No, but I have other invention ideas that I'm working on prototypes right now for stuff. So it's nice having a company like mine because, you know, like I walked in and I sat with Pablo, my CAD guy. He's amazing. And he CAD'd this whole idea, and we printed one out of the print farm, 3D printed it. And that was the start of what you see now, a physical product.
It's so
interesting. We launched a website, golfpubs.com, this month, and we're going to start doing pre-orders, then ship in April.
Wow, Golf Pubs. Look at that. It's a great name, too.
I don't know why, but the thought of the survival knife when I was a kid, you unscrew the cap and they have the little, and I don't know why that popped in my head, and it reminded me of this handle. I don't know a lot about golf, but I do know a lot about drinking. So I have half of my business planned down. And I go, wouldn't it be cool if you could bring your, you know, drinks with you, like a flask in a golf club? And he was like, oh my God, that's a brilliant idea. And I'm like, really? You know, whatever. And
that's funny.
And he was like, that would make the greatest golf club. And he said club. And in my brain, I heard pub. Club, pub, you know, just the way my brain works as a songwriter, rhyming. And I go, what about golf pubs? And it was literally that fast, that stupid. And next day we're making a prototype and off to patent.
That's so fascinating. So you being just like a guy who seems like physics and all those things, like I even saw when you're working with your guitar, like the weight of it and knowing if it's top heavy or all those things. So when we're using
a
golf pub,
yes.
Is it easy? You think it's easier to make your shot if it's filled with alcohol or less so?
I could hand you 10 clubs and you would probably get it wrong every time which one had liquid, which one.
Really? Yeah, so there's zero in? Yeah. So you're saying if I go out with you on the course, right, and we're drinking, and I'm smashing everything, and then there's no more alcohol in there, I won't know.
And
it's not because I'm drinking.
Henry Griffith, who makes pro golf clubs. My goal was to put out a professional golf club, not some gimmick little.
Right.
Yeah, obviously people will buy it as a gimmick, and it's a great gimmick. But these are gonna, you know, this is a $300 to $400 club. This is a real putter, professional putter, and they've been making pro clubs for 40 years. And we are coming out and we're gonna retail them sell them for $149.99. So they're gonna fly off the shelf. But it's such a good quality club that I took it over to. I live at a golf course, pro golfers, and I handed it to one of my pro golfer buddies, and he goes, "This feels better than mine." He runs to his bedroom, grabs his club. He goes, "Wow, I actually think I like the feel of this one better."
Wow.
And then I grabbed it and undid it and poured it. It was like he saw gold for the first time. He's like, "What the?" You know, so it was really cool. Not even pro golfers would be able to tell, but they've been very, very good on. The weight was the biggest thing.
Interesting.
You know, they wanted it the weight to be perfect on these clubs.
Wow. Yeah, look at that golf pub. So that's just
it's a real deal club
idea. Yeah. I have a question.
And it has reverse thread, so it'll never loosen while you're golfing.
Oh.
So that's another little cool thing about it.
I think it's such a genius idea. Yeah. So many people are in that.
And it breaks down and fits in a suitcase, which I didn't know until I traveled with them. I was like, this is actually really cool. I should make a whole set like this.
It's pretty cool stuff. So did your parents get to see your success and everything?
Yeah, but they're very religious. So my mom has only seen me play live once in her life.
Really?
Because she's like, that's not where I should be when Jesus comes back. It's at a rock concert.
What was the one time?
It was in Indiana. Yeah.
Where you're kind of from, you were born there. And then your dad, what about him?
I don't speak to my dad. He left when I was 4, but weirdly,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But weirdly, he showed up to the same concert. It was really bizarre. And that was the show where I spun the guitar around my back and the guitar hit my in-ear and sliced the inside of my ear. And I was rushed to the hospital, so I never even got to hang out with them.
Who
I hung out with Mom in the emergency room.
What show was it? Who were you with?
I was with 6 a.m.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, oh my God. So wait, that's a whole, so your dad leaving at 4 is like that's traumatic, right?
Yeah. I grew up without a dad, and but it was kind of the inspiration and fire I needed to get to where I'm at too.
Was it one of those things like you become all successful celebrity rock star and he's like reaching out to you, or like no? You don't even know.
I wouldn't answer if he did.
Right.
So
wow. And then your mom, it was that religious, so she was like appreciative to see you and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But wow.
But I respect her religion. I'm all listen,
Do you believe in God?
I do. I was raised that way, but I'm not I don't believe you gotta, get on your knees and fold your hands to talk to God. I don't believe you gotta go to church to get to heaven. I think, I just believe try to be the best person you can be, and
right.
And see what happens.
It's so fascinating, man. You're endlessly fascinating. So, I mean, I could talk to you for day and night, but the big thing is Pitbull, Vegas After Dark residency here at the Fontainebleau. It's a gorgeous venue. A special guest, Ashba, is going to be there. I mean, you're going to be doing so. I'm starting to get a little nervous for you.
Me?
I mean, you got a lot on your plate for these shows.
I love it. I can't wait to get up there.
I mean, the stage, there's so much, your inner workings are going to be your hands are all over this whole event.
Yes. As long as I don't have any gear malfunctions, all I got to do is my job, and that's to hit every note right. And that's what I was born.
And this guy, I mean, tell our audience, because I mean, if you haven't seen him in person, I mean, Pitbull's like, it's He's different great. Kind of, it is a cool kind of juice, because there's not a lot of guys who still, because listen, I'm 33 and there's like,
he brings the heat every night,
which is like a professional thing, because from playing with those old groups, like I mean, you cut your teeth on the road. You gotta be a professional, and no matter how much party is going on, like you gotta execute. Where there's a lot of new age groups out there, like they're touring, it's like they play 2 shows. You know, it's like a different thing. But Pitbull's like still that old school kind of mentality.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's pretty fast.
He brings the fire every show. He's just such a professional, and it's an honor to be on with him.
Mr. 305. I feel like you're going to be doing a lot. I feel like
he's Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
That makes me Mr. Countryside.
No. Mr. Jack of all trades. That could be you. You can do a little bit of everything. Guys, March 7th, 8th, 12th, 14th, and 15th here at the Fontainebleau. You want to make sure you go see this great show on display. Beautiful venue, and you're going to get to see the great DJ Ashba do his stuff. DJ, I mean, it's great to see you. I mean, congrats. We got to tell everybody, I mean, golf pubs.
Pubs, yeah.
That's a good concept right there. Show us one more time how that baby works.
So it just basically, you just take off the lid and...
Look at that.
Oh.
What is that? What is that?
I don't want to
Poland
get water
Spring?
everywhere, but yeah.
Or tequila?
It's got water. I would never waste,
the goods.
Yeah, but it's a great club. This thing is just pro as it gets.
Okay, what we're gonna do is after the residency, all this stuff, we'll get back with you in the summer.
There we go.
And we're gonna have a pro golfer come out with us.
I would love
do it. That would be a fun little segment we could do. That'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely love it, because it is such a good club. The quality, everything about it is just awesome.
Does it, even after all those years, does it get like when you have to play Welcome to the Jungle? Would you be like, oh God, we got?
I throw some dance versions of Guns in my set. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I'll open up with some fun stuff.
Who, if you could have played with anybody, is it Elvis? Like the one you said that'd be the one person who would starstruck you. Is there any other
live bands?
Yeah,
it would have been Guns N' Roses.
Really?
Yeah, I loved him as a kid, and I cut my teeth on people like Slash, and you can't, of course Van Halen, but you can't do Van Halen. That's the one band that wouldn't work. So outside of Van Halen, it would have been Guns N' Roses.
Wow.
Elvis
Yeah.
We're talking not around, but yeah.
Gotcha. Listen, this is a guy who lived the dream, the American dream. He detasseled corn, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know what that means. I think you're just ripping.
Pull the tops out.
Oh, that's right. Okay. There you go. A
6
Midwest
in the morning,
guy.
freezing cold.
You cut your teeth. You lived the dream, and you're still doing interesting stuff.
Just getting warmed up.
You can't fit them in a box, like we said at the beginning of the interview. Any last words? Anything else you want to say?
No, just thanks for having me on. This is great.
We love it. We'll have
you guys
to have you
have
back.
always been supportive of everything I've gone after and done, so thank you.
Of course, and shout out to Alice. And guys, we will definitely make sure we're gonna do the golf pub stuff on the course. That'll be fun. But in the meantime, Pitbull, Vegas After Dark residency, Ashba is going to be there doing a multitude of things. Make sure you go check it out in March. DJ, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, brother.
Ashba. Thanks, bro.
Yes,
good
of
seeing
course.
You. All right, guys, we'll see you after a short break.